salute. I'm your host, Chris Budihas, and joining me in the studio is Tony LaVecchia with the Military Officers Association of America, better known as MOAA. Tony, how are you?
Great. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks for coming in. So obviously we've been talking about, we're going to talk about MOAA today, but let's talk about a little bit about you. So what's your background? Where are you from originally, and then what you do in the Navy?
Yeah, so I grew up on Long Island, New York, left there in 1987, specifically 14 November.
Okay.
Joined the Navy, 30-year career, retired as a captain in 2018 out of Tokyo, Japan. Yeah. Relocated for about 3.5 years to Honolulu, worked there for a little bit, and that's where I also started volunteering my time for MOAA in the Aloha chapter.
No kidding. Wow.
Relocated here to Northeast Florida, where my wife and I currently live in Yulee.
Yeah.
And I'm very active, and I volunteer for MOAA at two levels. One at my chapter level in Nassau County, where I'm the chapter vice president, and for the Florida Council of Chapters, which sits on top of all the other chapters that coordinate with them, provide direction, guidance, and assistance. Where I'm the Northeast Area Vice President for the Florida Council of Chapters. And I support and I help out several chapters in the Northeast area of Florida.
That's awesome. Well, first of all, thanks for your service in the Navy. And
Thank you.
Second of all, thanks for your service to the veteran community. So what is MOAA?
Yeah, MOAA, Military Officers Association of America. MOAA is the nation's leading and largest Uniformed Services Officers Association. So when we say Officers Association, so that's the 8 uniform services, the 6 DoD branches, plus NOAA and the United States Public Health Service. So its membership is those that are commissioned officers, warrant officers of any of those services, plus surviving spouses.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's great.
Sure.
So what is the mission of MOAA?
Yeah, MOAA advocates pay and benefits issues to Congress to protect the earned benefits of all military, all uniformed services, officer, enlisted, reserve guard, etc., family members, surviving spouses, to protect those earned benefits that the federal government promised the service members when they rose the right hand and joined.
You would think that you would have those, right? It's a benefit. So, but it sounds like MOAA's got a lobby to ensure those benefits are in place and not being taken a look at as necessarily a congressional budget cut or otherwise.
That's correct. It's to protect those earned benefits. So MOAA is also it's a nonprofit, non-politically partisan organization consisting of 363,000 members nationwide, comprising of approximately 400 councils and chapters throughout the nation. Here in Florida, we have 38,000 MOAA members. And I mentioned the Florida Council of Chapters, we have 37 active chapters here in Florida, with out of that 38,000, about 3,500, roughly 10% of those members in chapters. And so you can join at the national level and at the chapter level.
Well, it sounds like, number one, there's a lot of reasons to join.
For sure.
And how do you join? Yeah,
so let me answer that by why do you join, and I will get down to the end, to the grand finale on how to join, if you would. Okay, why do you want to join? I kind of mentioned, the advocacy mission, which is the number one thing MOAA does. So we like to say that's to make your voice heard to Congress on those important priority issues. And I'm going to come back to that in a moment. Some other things is to give back to your local community, and that was one of the things that resonated with me as well. It's kind of like just like, why did you join the military? People have lots of reasons. Same thing with MOAA. Expand your social opportunities, because we have lots of chapter meetings and you meet fellow officers. And if you're still working, you can network with fellow officers in various communities and different fields of work. You stay informed. Holy cow, that's a really big one. And that's the other thing I'll come back to on. So the two that I'll come back to on. Influence your state legislation as well, and then we like to capture that all with fine camaraderie with a purpose. So make your voice heard. Advocacy, number one thing MOAA does. So this past April 17th, we had our annual advocacy and action campaign, where we had 160 members from MOAA nationwide, out of that 363,000 number, go to Capitol Hill and talk to all 535 congressional offices. In many cases, we got to speak to the actual senator or congressional representative, and we had 2 legislative priorities plus another important topic to MOAA members. So is the Major Richard Starr Act.
Yep.
Those members that are forced to medically retire before of 20 and compensate for that pay disparity that they get from military pay and disability pay, to try to work and correct that language. The other one was the Basic Allowance for Housing Restoration Act, where military members receive an allowance for housing wherever they live, and it varies depending on the locale they live in the world. But here in the United States, in Florida, happens to be a high cost of living area. But the DOD is only paying the service members 95% of what they're entitled to. They're keeping the other 5% for other expenses. So we want to get that corrected. Here in Florida, that's extremely important, particularly to junior enlisted members, where here in Florida, it comes out to an average of a few $100s a month.
Wow.
That, let's say, an E5 would have to pay out of pocket above their BAH allowance. So we want to get that corrected. And the last one wasn't a legislative action, but it was an important topic for MOAA members. MOAA solicited to its membership, what do you want us to talk to Congress about in this year's AIA? And they overwhelmingly came back with TRICARE for life. While there's no legislative actions that will try to change it or reduce the payments or increase the cost, the MOAA membership wanted to voice that, that as a priority issue to Congress, and Congress has been very good about that.
Very receptive. That's my understanding. Because I'm a MOAA member and I read.
Absolutely.
Newsletter.
So, I mentioned, and then right now, here is in second part of August. Now we're in our summer AIA campaign, which is. It mirrors the spring campaign very closely, but we have another item on there, and this one's solely targeted for the enlisted force. It's to include the enlisted targeted pay raise in the National Defense Authorization Act for this fiscal year. So it's to specifically get a pay raise for the enlisted force, specifically the junior enlisted force.
That's important.
And I mentioned about MOAA earlier, our name implies that we're an association of officers, which is true, but we're not just about officers. And that's a great example. We advocate for the entire uniformed services, officer, huge. Enlisted, reserve, guard, everybody.
That's great. And so how do you join? What are some methods to join?
Okay. So the easiest way, and if you can look down, get the camera pointed down at that center marquee. Is it there? Okay. Okay. So the easiest way is to go to the MOAA website, MOAA National website at www.moaa.org. Okay. And then you go to the upper right-hand corner, and you click on the join button. And it allows you. You'll have to fill out a couple of questions, right? Your name, address, some other things. But allows you to join from right there. It also allows you to join a chapter anywhere in the country. Another way to join for the Florida Council of Chapters, can you go back to that? You can see where it says Florida Council of Chapters. You go to www.flmoa.org, or from where my chapter, Nassau County, you can go to www.ncflmoa.org. And you can get to any of them. With the Florida Council, you can see any of the chapters in Florida as well, and learn about them and get some great news. So the other part of that's how to join. When you join from the national website, you're going to get 3 options: basic membership, premium, which is 1, 2, or 3 year membership, and then there's the lifetime membership. The basic membership is free,
Yep.
and with all the memberships, to include the basic, but the basic is you only get this one
Limited
benefit
access.
for a year.
Yeah. Yep.
The rest of them you get them as long as you're a member. Is this MOAA magazine?
Yeah.
And this is a phenomenal
It is.
resource.
Yep.
It's an all-star, world-class publication that provides a lot of information that is of special interest to veterans, retirees, and between the magazine and the MOAA website, it's really the gateway to all your MOAA benefits. It lets you know what's going on. The magazine has some very important topics that can, be somewhat complex, like TRICARE, like Medicare, insurance, etc. But it distills that information down into an easily understandable, bite-sized paragraph or two, short article, and then there's links or points of contact in case you have questions.
That's
and
huge.
whatnot. It's just phenomenal. I can't
I
speak
agree.
highly
When
enough.
I read it, and it's funny, as you know, Tony, that things change so quickly
That's
between
right.
policies and laws. How do you keep up? Well, MOAA distills it in a way that you can read it. And oh, by the way, at the end of the day, got questions? Call or email, and then you get answers, and you're very responsive.
Yeah, for sure. Let me highlight a couple other benefits. So we just talked about the advocacy and the magazine and those other things, that the networking, etc. MOAA offers, or its affiliates, all kinds of insurance, whether it's health insurance, disability insurance, long-term care insurance, travel insurance, pet insurance, all kinds. They also have MOAA Travel, and this episode, the June issue, of the MOAA Military Officer magazine highlights travel to Normandy region of France. I personally went on 2 river cruises with MOAA. Okay. Phenomenal. I'm going to do more.
Okay.
I have a friend who went on a photo safari to South Africa. He said it was the best vacation of his life.
That's awesome.
All kinds of resources and programs with MOAA. And finally, the other big thing that MOAA does is MOAA Charities.
Okay.
Which consists of the MOAA Foundation, and that has 5 or 6 purposes.
Okay.
One of them is crisis relief, kind of like the MOAA's version of the American Red Cross for military families. And then the other one is the MOAA Scholarship Fund that offers scholarships to children of military personnel, either in the form of an interest-free loan or a grant.
Okay.
And over the years, they've dispersed over $160 million of scholarship funds to over 17,000 students.
That's amazing.
I mean, those are big numbers.
That's a big number.
That's really impacting
a lot of lives
and
changed.
Exactly.
That's huge.
Exactly.
Well, Tony, thanks for your service. Thank you for what you're doing for MOAA. Thanks for coming in and explaining to the group, why it's important to be part of this organization, and more importantly, how do you join, and then the impact it's making, not just retaining your benefits, but also taking a look at service members, regardless, enlisted officer, warrant officer, make sure they're now and into the future.
For sure.
Well, thanks, Lynn.
Absolutely. Yeah. And on behalf of the Florida Council of Chapters, here's here's a MOAA.
I'm going to carry that, yes, sir.
Challenge coin.
Well,
thanks much, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks again, Tony, for coming in. Hey, folks, you like what you heard? Please share us. Connect with Tony and I on LinkedIn and other social networks. Take a look at MOAA. We've explained where you need to go. It's free for basic membership, but I should tell you to take a look at the other levels of membership. And we're going to hang all this information on our show notes if you need it. And then lastly, live with gratitude, and we'll see you in our next segment.